let's see.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin. This is Marz here. I'm here with my boys, Petey and Cal. Say what's up, gents.
Hey, what's going on?
Yo, ready to rock?
Hey, this is our 10th year anniversary with YouTube. Woohoo!
What's
Celebration,
going on,
guys!
y'all? What's
It
happening?
feels like
Hey,
yesterday.
we just want to say thank you. Yeah, it does. I want to say thank you guys for sticking with us. It's been a long slog, but it
A
is
slog.
definitely worth it. Especially it has been, but we're glad.
We're glad that you're here. We're glad everyone is with us and, have done so much for our channel, getting us so many subscribers, all you great subscribers. And
Yes, we're going to get your requests out to you as soon as possible. Sorry, it's taking a little bit of time. We still got some other stuff working over here in the background and did want to make certain of what the request actually was, but that one's coming very, very soon.
all right, cool. So sorry to take account for a couple seconds, Mars. But we just want to go through some comments. We're gonna go through some quick ones and some we're gonna get some help from AI Burt Reynolds to speak as our viewers, our great commenters. And we did our Fantastic Four. What surprised us the most in the new Fantastic Four trailer? And Joe Bowers, he wrote to us and he said, let's see what he felt about the trailer.
A.T. Joe Bowers. Looks so lame, so safe, zero edge or tension. Ben Grimm's voice and tone is wrong. The Silver Surfer was also miscast. Besides the pointless gender swap, the Human Torch needs a testosterone shot, and Pedro Pascal does not strike me as the smartest man on the planet. Oh, and if you missed it, the theme of the story is family. Jesus wept.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Whoa, what a rough one.
hit him with the Bible at the end.
I think
Bible.
Pedro Pascal is a lot smarter than people give him credit because he's all over the TV. He's on every channel. So
Does he
clearly
look?
he's
Does
figured
he
something out.
look
A
it?
lot of us haven't.
Does he look it though? In what we're being shown, does he look it?
Hey, I'm just saying that he's much smarter than what we think. What do you guys think, Petey?
I think he was right on the money. At the same time,
Wow.
Reed looks very worried. That's the hard part. So maybe he could be the smartest person, but at the same time, looks so worried that he can't handle what's going on here. So,
I mean, Reed has
Cal?
definitely undergone a character assassination for well over a decade, so that might have influenced how they want to put him here. Okay, but anybody who knows Reed Richards knows that Reed Richards should exude a certain leadership, a certain confidence. I can't say we're seeing that in these trailers. We may see that in the film, but we're not seeing that in these trailers.
yeah.
Got it.
So there's some quick ones.
Good comment.
Yeah, yes, definitely. So there's some quick ones. One from our great fan Ian. He seems to be liking you guys' stuff more than my stuff. I just want to put it out there so you guys finally look at it. Because Ian said, looked at your Battle Beast. Is really worth the hype. And Ian said, good review, Mars. And then he also looked at an old one, the Superman. Okay, so he also
I just said thanks, Ian.
then he also looked at the new Superman #1 we did way back in it looks like it's 2016, so it's almost 9 years ago. He looked at that one and he said to Cal, good review. It's been a while since I read this. I'm really enjoying this. So that's to you guys. Where's my love?
Is he the guy with the request, or
Yes,
that's
that's the guy. That's the guy with the request. Yes.
All right, it's coming down. It's gonna be there for you, Ian. It's gonna be there for you.
Then we have Marty Emons, 1859. He talked about this X-Men Roy Thomas thing that I did. He said Neil Adams confirmed that he traced photographs, talking about some of the photorealistic stuff. And he pointed out that Neil Adams actually traced some photographs. He also looked at, oh, there we go. I spoke too soon. Ian looked at our New Avengers Thunderbolts, and he said good review. So I got a little love there. Thanks. I'm on the books again. But now we'll have Ian as Burt Reynolds talking about the what ifs. Remember the what ifs videos that you did? he's going to talk about your video. So here we go, and we get his actual title said out loud by Burt Reynolds.
At Afrosophizian's Comics 7836, good discussion. Howard the Duck will not work in the MCU. Howard the Duck was an adult comic disguised as a Marvel Kids comic. As a kid, I didn't get it. I do now. It works as satire. The modern MCU fans are just not smart enough to understand that type of thing adapted for the big screen.
So there was
Gosh. Oh my goodness.
that was your video, right?
Well,
So what do you say to that?
yeah, it was. Wow. I guess I'm one of those who doesn't get the Howard the Duck at the references of it yet, you know? Though what he's done in the what ifs, it's crazy, you know. I think what he got one. His daughter in the MCU what ifs is now one of the. He has a daughter, you know, with a human, so
Oh God, y'all.
she's supposed to be one of the most powerful. Yeah, yeah. So
How
it's crazy, but hey, thank you.
Wait. Howard the Duck has a daughter, and she's supposed to be one of the most powerful what?
One of the most powerful superheroes in the MCU, and this is the one that they showed in Disney Plus. So
she should be dead. Okay, there's no mating between a human and a duck. She should be dead.
but this is not. He's not just a duck. He is Howard the Duck. This is a different type of duck. He
great.
speaks
So I'll
like
get
a
my
human.
cat. I'll get my cat, name it Ted, and it'll be Ted the cat, and it'll be more than just a cat, right? No.
Well, Howard the Duck is more than a duck. You know that. You know, so yeah. So
Howard
he gets yeah.
He is correct. Howard the Duck is satire. That's one of the reasons why it was Howard the Duck running for president. As a kid, I didn't understand that myself. I was like, where the hell does this come in? But it was because of the issues that were being raised in the stories with Howard the Duck. I thought Captain America would be a more suitable candidate if we were going to do that, or Superman. So even, as a kid, I didn't understand where that was going. But the readership of Howard the Duck definitely tagged older. Steve Gerber was definitely tagging older with a lot of this stuff. And I didn't realize what Howard the Duck was as a character until I was an adult and I read this Howard the Duck series. And then when I saw all the stuff that was in there, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. You know, now it makes sense. Because as a kid, I was like, I don't understand a lot of this stuff. And I think moviegoers would definitely, the first time they do a sex joke in a Howard the Duck movie, these guys will be like, oh, what is this? Bad grandpa? Bad Santa? Oh no.
So
we
the question is, should Howard the Duck have been more like a Vertigo comic as opposed to being part of not Vertigo, what was the Marvel series? Yeah, it should have been an epic comic.
Yeah, it could.
Would that have been a better fit?
But there was no epic at that time.
Yeah, there wasn't an epic at that time.
Yeah. But a lot of Steve Gerber stuff could have gone in that vein. He has done superheroes. He's done a bunch of stuff with Superman. I think the Phantom Zone, and there might have been another miniseries that he did. But he's done a lot of superheroes. But he also done some stuff that's off center with superheroes, and or with like the Howard the Duck character himself.
Well, I find a lot of his stuff has influenced a lot of the Image comics that have come up. You know, is very, you know, the type of satire that he's trying to use, the characters. So I think he's been a huge influence. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, good question.
Guys, go ahead.
I'm done. I just said very good question.
Oh,
good review.
He always struck me as one of these guys where a lot of the Image guys fit in this category, where the market is you got to write superheroes, and they're like, I don't want to write superheroes. Mm-hmm. Okay, I grew out of that stuff, so now okay, well I got to write superheroes. Oh, well I'm gonna do this spin on it, and these are guys who love characters like Howard the Duck, or you know Mr. Bomb or Deadpool for that matter, because they're like, okay, great, I don't have to make this story hit these particular things. You know, I can do these jokes. I can be more political. I can take all of these risks because at the end of the day, nobody really cares what I do with this character. If the issue turns to have all of this outrage and people hate it, hey, it's Howard the Duck, right? You know, not a big deal.
Yep.
That's Brian Michael Bendis with what was that? Capes? What was that series?
Oh yeah, I've never read that. I know I've seen the title. I've never read that story.
The premise is so cynical in that, but this is a guy who's like, hey, I enjoyed superheroes are like until what? Until you're 12, and once your brain officially starts forming, you don't read that stuff anymore. Come on. You don't read that stuff anymore, and then you get away from it. But then they look and they're like, wait a minute. The only stuff that I can really make money on is the superhero stuff. So what do I do? I know. I know exactly what we'll do. We'll make their world darker, which is what they normally do. So yeah, that definitely falls in line with something like Howard the Duck. But even when we got to the epic line might have been more adult, but it wasn't dark. You had one of the bigger things I saw with Epic was the quality of the art. If you were reading Epic Illustrated, the quality that those painted covers and the art within the book and the magazine format was trying to tack a bit older, but it wasn't dark. And not when you had characters like Dreadstar. It wasn't. There was still a sense of wonder in a lot of the stuff that was presented, and it wasn't cynical. That is something that would definitely come in more and more and more later.
All right, so now we have a Marz video, which is Miles Morales returns to his ultimate origins, and Ian said, "Good review, Marz. Hopefully, this will bring new fans to the Ultimate line of books." So again, you got another score on the scoreboard.
Thanks again.
I'm throwing some hate out at you anyway, but we also have a comment from another viewer who has a comment on the Ultimate. Let's see, we'll get Burt Reynolds to go through this one.
Oh no, Burt.
Personally, I hate Marvel reusing the Ultimate tagline for a non-1610 Earth. It's like that Earth's name, and you are just going to reuse it because fans know of it. It just feels lazy to me.
Sorry, Burt,
I say that because I know if they went with the Defiant universe, the Maker defies the destruction of his world and the roots of this world, the Ultimates, cock. The Defiance, cock. Defy the new world order that the Maker created. Ultimate Wolverine is slowly learning to defy his pre-programming. If they went with the Defiant tagline, it wouldn't sell as well because Marvel is too scared to start something new, and that fear honestly disgusts me.
So, see, this is getting into some interesting points of reusing the line for something else, that sort of thing. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think of that. Like they just, just come in and just start doing their own thing, or amalgam of what they have. Marz, what do you think? Because I know this is your video.
Yeah, I mean, I think I get exactly what he said. Marvel is definitely trying to make a cheap buck. It's just definitely using a world that most users will understand and know. Technically, it really shouldn't be. He's right. It was destroyed before, but this is Marvel's sandbox, and we're living in it. We got to play in what we have, right? But I definitely understand the criticism because I was trying to understand it myself, how they come back, and it just came back. But now we're seeing all these other characters trying to, I guess, get that power of the Maker. So probably they will come back with a Defiant universe later. Who knows if someone else grabs a hold of it.
Oh, the Maker,
but thank you very much for that comment.
The power of money and the loss of ideas. That's how it came back. It's like, hey, anybody got any new ideas? Hey, why don't we do the Ultimate Universe?
They're becoming print factories, like you said before, Petey. I mean, now all I ever see is new versions of old stories. The Penguin books. We have now everybody's doing treasury or gallery size editions. It's like, come on, let's focus on getting good writers, great artists to sell new stories out there. Put them on the Epic line, put them on the Vertigo line, or whatever. Let's get it out there.
Anymore. They got rid of Epic, they got rid of Vertigo. So once again, all these guys who were cynical are like, hey, it's like, I can only write superheroes? No, you can go over to Image and see if they'll take your property. Well, Image won't take my property. I guess you're writing superheroes.
Yeah.
No, Kirkman made superheroes, and he's done a pretty good job. He's expanding his line. Kirkman.
Kirkman. Well, Kirkman is a little more than
stuff is not like superheroes. Kirkman's stuff is superhumans with powers, and they really just wreck shop. The idea of a superhero is there should be some heroism, not that I'm the lead or the protagonist at the end of the day. It's like somebody who did a show, it was actually Snarky J. She did a show where she was looking at heroes, and one of the ones that she put in was Ellen Ripley. And so I disagreed with that. I was like, Ellen Ripley wasn't a hero. She was the protagonist of Alien. These guys are trying to survive. They're not really saving anyone at that portion. There's no self-sacrifice, but a lot of people look at it like, okay, the person who's out front, the person who's the lead is the hero. Like, no, you look at the Kirkman stuff, there's without a doubt, Richard Grayson, not Richard Grayson, Grayson is, I'll just say Grayson, he's out in front, but this guy does a whole bunch of stuff that is totally unheroic. And just because he's in a costume doesn't make him a superhero at the end of the day. So, Kirkman stuff is popular between, I mean, he did he did Invincible, Astounding Wolfman, Guarding the Globe. He's got a bunch of stuff over there. But when you look, this is some real, it's not superheroes. It's not superheroes. This would be like if you took Rick Grimes and gave Rick Grimes superpowers and put him in a suit. Do you really think that guy would tack towards Superman level stuff? No. There's gonna be a whole hell. There's gonna be a whole hell of a.
It's a different type of superhero. I think we gotta,
what type
people want to see people want to see characters a little bit more grounded.
What type of superhero? What type of superhero?
I'm answering the question. I'm saying, so you have Superman, who is the epitome of what you would want a superhero to be, but then you have, what would be the regular guy? If you had all this power, would you be able to? Would you not do human stuff, make mistakes? Would you not grab for power? But he saved. I mean, these
Spider-Man.
characters.
Spider-Man doesn't do that.
But Grayson has saved. The Invincible has saved the planet several times. So if you're not a superhero by saving the planet,
we've got a name. We got a name for him.
What do you call it? What?
We call him an anti-hero. He's not a superhero. He's an anti-hero. Okay. Batman is probably your best example. Batman has all of this money, and yet he still tacks closer, to the Superman level of superheroism at the end of the day. Spider-Man's your everyman, but Batman is the guy who should be thoroughly corrupt. He's got all of this money, he has the trauma, and instead he's dressing up in this particular outfit and he's going out here trying to make things right. And he's borderline with a lot of the stuff that he does, and he's still a superhero. I would still call Batman a superhero because he does a lot to keep stuff in check with himself. These other guys, literally, they'll just get into a fight because I'm pissed off because my mother had an argument with me.
Mm-hmm.
I just gave you Batman is your guy, right? That's your guy. He fits.
I know, and I'm taking it, but I even Batman is nuts. But I'm glad you consider him a hero. Because I know he definitely pushes that boundary to a point. But you're right. He always tries to do the right thing. But whereas those in the Invincible universe, I wouldn't say they do the right thing all the time. The key thing is they're human, and they make mistakes. I think that's why it's popular and people connect.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Petey, what do you got to say?
What
do you got to say, Petey?
No, I mean, I would. Well, I think it was. I know the Invincible character scene, but they have all the blood and stuff like that. So when I was reading it for the early issues, it seemed like he was a note towards more so like Spider-Man. The other stuff is more like science fiction. The Walking Dead. There was another book that I was reading. I can't remember the title, but I mean the Transformer stuff, action-oriented stuff. But it's not like really. I mean, he obviously worked at Marvel, so he can do Marvel stuff. But I wouldn't put him in the same category as Bendis. I always think of before there was because for a short period there was a beef between Bendis and Byrne, but before he got Ultimate Spider-Man, Byrne went over to him while Byrne was doing Spider-Man. He went over to Bendis and said, "Hey, congratulations!" And then Bendis gave him a bunch of his books, and he's like, "Oh, they're interesting." He said, but he was wondering how it would translate to Marvel, and Cal's assessment is close to what the books look like to me as far as what Bendis is doing. So, but I don't look at Kirkman as that. I think he can get closer to superheroes, but since he's doing something in the Image universe, he's kind of been able to push it further because it was a straightforward superhero, and then I think when the reveal turns into this real dark thing, which was just like, now that was a little too much. But I was saying, why is there another Youngblood, and then that other Youngblood team or Justice, whatever, they're gone already. So it's like that's pretty dark. But that's the other thing when you have a lot of times when people do the quaint and nice sort of comic books, then they go Alan Moore, they go dark, and Alan Moore is good for that too. Where it's like, all right, we're gonna go close, and then now we're going close to Silver Age. Now we're gonna go real dark. So it's a tough line to get away. And the closest, Stan and Jack would do is something poignant of death of, the Franklin saw their father. So yeah, I would say close to what Cal was saying, but I still I feel he could do superhero books like Marvel books if he wanted to.
Marvel Zombies.
You shut up.
You do Marvel Zombies.
So moving on, this is going to be,
which is a popular book.
Yeah, this is going to be the Ian trifecta, and it's a Cal trifecta too. So we have the Action Comics, The Truth, and Ian says, "Good review, Cal. I'm slowly reading through these in hardback. I quite enjoyed them, but he can see why you don't like them, Cal. And any thoughts on that?"
Yeah, because it was trash. It was trash.
Yeah.
I had to live through that. I still have the scars at the end of the day. It was so bad. Even the writer, who was the Gene Lewin, even he was like, "Hey, this isn't necessarily my story. This is the story that DC wants me to tell." He was like, "Hey, if this is up to me, probably wouldn't do this." Without retreading too much of the story, the whole idea is that they wanted to out Superman. That was supposed to be the big thing. His secret identity was going to be outed. Somehow he got a buzz cut. He was riding on a motorcycle. They were calling him like the Punisher. At the end of the day, he had less superpower, and it was remarkable. I was like, I don't understand you guys. You have a character with which you could do anything. He could go anywhere. You could have any type of adventure imaginable, and it's overwhelming for you. We got to take away the power. We got to make him darker. Oh, he's going to be a man of the people. Why? Because he's going to be fighting cops. That makes you a man of the people? It was so bad. He joined an underground fighting ring. He was fighting like lower level deities or something. And I was thinking, you know what? Superman being in some sort of like fight club or anything, that could be an interesting storyline. They actually extrapolated off of that idea when they went to Warworld, and it was executed much, much better. But here everything was painful. Him running around in the t-shirt. He was in Connor Kent's outfit from Teen Titans, just running around in the t-shirt. It was such a struggle to try to make him cool. It was like, he's already cool. Why do you guys keep? That was just a painful one at the end of the day. And then, you know what? I said I wasn't going to get too deep into it. Sorry, I went further than I should have. I'm going to step back. Okay, I'm going to step back, self-correct.
All right. And I guess we'll do one last one. It's from Ian. He talked about the Superman movie, right? We did ours is Superman movie looks epic, and Ian says Cal is happy.
Yes.
He says, "You are right. I've noticed this merch is selling well. After everything happening in the world, especially in America, I think people want to have a real feel-good movie. It may do $1 billion worldwide." What is your thoughts on that, Cal, since he called you out?
Well, one, Ian strikes me as a man of wisdom and good taste. No, I mean, look, if you don't have a favorite superhero, I think it can be very hard for you to empathize. It can. If you're just like, hey, this is all some passing stuff. And I know guys, they read comics, they need all the heroes, but they don't really have a favorite superhero. You have a favorite superhero, it's a totally different thing. You read the books, you love the films, you're disappointed when the stuff doesn't execute. And as much as it will seem discordant with something that is not real, you have a belief as to how this character is supposed to act. So for me, when I saw some of the initial stuff, it really depressed me. When they came up with that initial thing with David Cornstalk putting the boot on, I was just like, oh my goodness, I was like, this is going to suck. This is going to suck, and then it's not going to make any money, and we're not going to see Superman again for like another 10, 20 years, or they're going to finally get their wish. They're going to make him a supporting character like the Hulk. I was like, this is terrible. But then slowly but surely, they unveiled more stuff, and it's been hard because I got to go out there and avoid certain videos. I can't look at everything because somebody's like, oh man, no, don't look at it. Don't look at it. It's just going to depress you. Like, what do you mean this guy didn't like it? It looks so good. It looks so good. So staying positive, that has been the key. But man, I think about this movie and literally I'm like energetic. I'm bouncing in my seat. I wish it was July 8th already. Oh, I'm sorry for those of you who have to wait until July 11th. I wish it was July, 8th already, so I could just go in there and see the movie. But I had to live through the new 52 Superman and I had to live through Zack Snyder's Superman. Now I'm over here like,
Wait,
please, please,
wait. Let's
please be good. Please, I can't go back to that dark BS again. I can't. Please be good.
Well, Mars wants to say goodbye to the fans. He had to run, but he definitely he's enjoying this and he's enjoying the comments.
I don't like the way he cut off. He cut off like I don't have to listen to this crap anymore. I'm out here.
No, he actually
I'm just joking, Mars. He already told us he was gonna have to go at a certain time.
Yeah. So this a couple from Ian, our Black Hero Paradox, Superhero Paradox. He said, brilliant. Eagerly waiting part 2. So that's on our docket. There's a Superman thing, and then there's a couple Superman comics we're supposed to do also. So
I'm glad he said that. If he hadn't said that, if one of you guys just said part 2, I'm like, part 2? Oh, part 2 of what?
And I did something on some Kickstarters, and he said, good video, PD. It's good to see you promoting indie books. And then we go to, actually, this is a classmate of mine from college. I'm going to have Burt Reynolds do the honors, and ready, set, go. This is also on the Black Superhero Paradox. What's that?
Eduardo Matos, 2874. I think the new Captain America was actually good. I just find it unbelievable that Sam Wilson was given the opportunity to take the super soldier serum and he turned it down. Who the hell does that? I also wish they would have made the movie about the first black man to actually take the super soldier serum and how he was treated after he took during the Jim Crow era and the medical experiments they were running on the African American population without their knowledge or consent. That would have been much more interesting to me.
Now, I said, I agreed with the first comment. I think anyone who wants to do, I think playing out the way the super soldiers, I don't think the Falcon would take that, but in this new sort of universe where you have Spider-Man that's stronger than both the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, I would definitely take it. I'm sorry, Sam Wilson, the character wouldn't, but I would.
Come and tell me some nonsense like that. He'd be like, "Hey, man, I had the chance to take the super soldier." So I'm like, "What are you talking about?" No, really, it exists. I had a chance and I didn't take it. Like, are you stupid? Do you still have it? Give it to me.
The most upstanding person, Captain America, took it, and at the same time, he can lift the hammer. He's worthy. Why not use it? Why not use drugs? I mean, why not use a serum?
Because the whole idea is once Falcon proves that he can be Captain America without the serum, there's really no more argument. He could take the serum or not. It's pretty much interchangeable now. It's not, and again, it was not the serum. It was with Captain America, it's always been, it's not the serum, it's Steve Rogers, that quality of man that he is. Because all these other guys take the serum, and you get John Walker and you get all these guys who would just know this guy right over here is not what we need. He's not the embodiment of what we want in somebody who's going to call themselves Captain America. I would also like to see something done with Isaiah Bradley. I wouldn't want a film. I wouldn't want a TV series. One season, maybe 8 episodes maximum. And I would just really want to see him adventuring as Captain America, less on the whole experimentation stuff. I would just like to see maybe closer to what they did in Truth, where we get to see his adventures. I think the other one with the whole experimentation doesn't really do things in terms of his character or for the audience, because at the end of the day, he's supposed to be a superhero. I want to see him adventuring. I would probably stop it right, before we get into the deep detail on that. I think it's enough what he told us about what he went through, as opposed to us actually seeing it. I don't need to see the passion of Isaiah Bradley. That's just me. They treated you terribly, so on and so forth. Okay, you're out of it now. Good. Let's move forward from that. I like that part that was one of the things with the Captain America movie. The most recent one that I really liked was his portrayal. I thought Carl Lumbly did a really good job with him. And the movie really started to take hold for me when Isaiah Bradley was like, I got to go back to prison. He was like, I got to go back to solitary, and those things really gripped, because that was more of an impetus for the Falcon to get this stuff right than almost anything else. It's like, I really, come on, I talked this guy into coming out that this is a changed place. And the first time he comes out, he's going right back to prison. So those things I thought were executed very well. But I also liked Isaiah Bradley's character. He was not living in sorrow. He was not he wasn't feeling sorry for himself. And even though he went through all of that stuff, he didn't crack. He remained strong. And when he came out, he wasn't bitter. He wasn't bitter at the end of the day. Of course, he was happy to be out. He was happy to get back the jacket that he was married in, but he was still positive. And that is something that I liked in the portrayal of his character. I think too many times people just, whatever it is, they just wear it forever. And I don't think they're genuine in the reasons why they're wearing it. I think it becomes something else that they can use, for whatever moves that they want. But I wouldn't mind seeing a series if they can tack more to the adventure aspect, the heroism aspect, and not have to get into because it's just going to become identity politics at the end of the day. That's me. I would just veer clear of that.
Well, the problem for me is that I'm pretty sure they're like, we're going straight for. And then the hard part is trying to keep him alive.
Well, don't do it.
Yeah, at the same time where you're like in the war period where soldiers were going through so much stuff, and having this hero and then having the the possibility of fighting Germans and then also having to deal with his own soldiers that are struggling with a black man as this symbol of America. So it's that's the hard part, is that going into it, instead of going to the higher ground and just saying, like I guess sort of like Luke Cage was in an experiment that got him his powers, but they're going to play up the whole oh, remember Tuskegee, and he was like, we just go left to say, well, they inadvertently did something that worked out, because most of those things are negative. So that was I would just be worried of saying that if you try to keep it kind of as you're saying, then I think you find something viable. But I can't, some of the stuff, any of the controversy is always a thing to go to. It's like, no, 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 no. Let's put the pen right here, like the Hustler movie. Shoot it there, right there. That's where we want to go.
No, there's one of the things that has always boggled my mind is that we live in a world where you have sexism, you have racism, and then we create these fictional worlds where that exists as well. It's like, you don't have to do that. Okay, you can say, well, no, in our world, we are not able to get this right, but here's what it looks like when we get it right in this particular world. So instead, like, no, if the first guy to have the super soldier serum, well, and again, this is a retcon, but if the first guy has the super soldier serum, he's black. Oh, let's imagine the worst possible fate for him. Oh, it goes awry rather, and they go experiment on him. I mean, they did the same thing with the Blue Marvel, and it becomes like, you don't have to go that route. One of the things that I got when I was, did you ever see Red Tails?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, pretty much the Tuskegee Airmen, these guys are like, what? Nah, man, get these guys out. We don't want anything to do with them. But once it's time for the big drop, these guys are requesting that they're there because they're like, no, these guys, their job is so efficient. We're going to trust them to get us through at the end of the day. So that's the first step. You can say whatever you want about, oh, they only want this, but they still want it at the end of the day because those guys were so good at their job, and that actually pushes through. That is a big part of what happens in our world in order to push through these particular things. So those are things that I would love. If you can examine it from that aspect, fine. But like you said, they're always going to do the hustler thing. No, we got it. Spread eagle, shoot.
Well, I always go to, if you bring up that, I'll go to the HBO movie of the Tuskegee Airmen, where they had Andre Brower, who was like the top general in the black unit, and he didn't want to hear anything. So it was always interesting to see, whereas, I'm pretty sure his character was going through it too, but he was like, he was so buttoned up as far as what he was doing, it didn't matter. He didn't want to hear nothing. Anything was out of step, you were going to get called on it. Whereas the other ones, I think Lawrence Fishburne and what was it? They were all trying to do, they were pointing out the stuff without being too heavy-handed. And then when they get requested, like you were saying at that point, he said, we will request it. And Andre Brower comes to Cuba Gooding. He said, we weren't, this isn't, they don't have anybody left. We were requested to do this. And they have a poignant scene where they're like, they're already assigning other people to them, and they're like, "Oh, please, no." I know we said no before, but
Yeah.
can you put that unit back on our thing, because they got us through, and we took heavy fire the last time. So, but yeah, I definitely get your point. So, in going through,
Very human, in a very humble moment.
Mhm.
It's yeah, it's very, like, no, I again, we're living in a time period where they want people to say, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Blatant, like, no, you have to recognize that humble moment right there for what it is, and that you're not, you're not going to get necessarily all of 2025 in anything that you're looking at in 1942 or 43. Okay, but these are the steps that have to happen in order for us to get here. So, if you can do it, emphasizing, that's one of the things that also, well, I was critical of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier for some of this stuff, but I like Sam's sister when he was like, you're gonna let these people talk you out of being Captain America? Are you stupid? You gonna let them guilt trip you out of this?
Yeah.
Like, don't be dumb. These guys will come over here, they'll talk you out of it, and then they'll be the first one to go scoop it up. Hey, look at me, I'm Captain America. Like, no, you are meant for this. You're meant to do this. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. Okay, don't let them guilt you out of it. Don't let them give you a different alternate take that somehow makes you doubt it. Take it and do a good job with it.
So I'm going to go to a couple of last ones. There's definitely, all of the comments have been really great. There's a couple of last ones I wanted to get to. But the thing is, the comments have been really great. Like, well, I'm gonna get to these ones on the,
Are we doing any from Ironheart?
yeah, that's what I'm getting to. The Ironheart
Oh,
one,
okay. Yeah, those were
where the
that
Cynth-
was, those were
Cynthia
beautiful fun.
Ironheart this is going to be a disaster. And then there was another one that was here later. Someone was looking forward to Ironheart. The trailer looks a bit too complicated though, but it's not a movie, it's for a series. And then there's one other one that was really good. Oh, this is the one. It's from, I played him before, but he talks about the problem with it. And go to the Burt Reynolds again.
The problem with this depiction is it has no overlap from the comics. Ironheart is supposed to be the Iron Man equivalent of Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, or your Miles Morales, Ultimate Spider-Man. She is the next teen hero to take of the mantle after something happens to the previous vet who held the title, where that veteran hero now trains them. In the comics, it was a holographic AI backup of Tony's mind. He sought her out because she quit out of collage because she randomly decided to make her own Iron Man from her own box of scraps. He became her mentor because he didn't have a body to do it himself. We can't do that here because she already was Ironheart prior to the start of the series due to forcing her into the Black Panther movie. Also because Disney are too big of cowards to recast Tony Stark in favor of a more affordable actor. Here, the main villain is literally a non-comic character. None of these characters, except for Riri, are even from the comics. It's just using the IP for namesake and not much else. It's an insult, disingenuous project. I'll be real, I didn't read her comic and only know bits and pieces of it, so maybe I'm off base, but that's how it comes off.
No, you're not.
This one, because I didn't know, and I looked up and I saw some images of the AI Tony Stark, and I was like, even if they couldn't get him, that would have been fun to see, or backtrack of her. No, actually, she gets the armor when she's prepping armor, and they go to Wakanda. So it is how he said that they already had her in Wakanda doing stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Just a little backstory on this, because this is from the time period. You remember that trade paperback they had, Bring on the Bad Guys, when they had all the origins of
exactly.
This time period in Marvel was Bring on the New Guys. So a lot of the old guard was being purposely put to the side. Iron Man, Cap. We had that whole thing with the Avengers where Falcon is leading. You got Jane Foster as Thor. You got Ms. Marvel. You got all these, people who are coming in claiming the names in a very this one in a much more determinative way than they had done before. Because you might still have the Avengers and you would have, say, the Young Avengers over here, but the Avengers were still around. Here was like, no, those guys are, for whatever reason, we're taking these guys off center stage. They're going to chill. Cap was aged to be like, what, 102? Something, so he wasn't there. And this is one of the characters who came out of that. But yeah, spot on. We are already introduced to her as being fully fledged on her own. So she has no connection to Iron Man. Now, whether you like Riri Williams or not, they had the common sense to say, look, let's give her some connection to Iron Man. So at the very least, readers and so on and so forth will feel that she has some legitimacy. Here, she's already done everything on her own. So why do I need to buy into this? It's not a part of Iron Man's world. And I can let this sink or swim simply on first blush if I don't agree with it. So that's something they did miss, where sometimes it's good to have connection between other characters, especially if you're going to try to create some legacy, even if it's just handing off the baton for a short period of time. It's good to bring that person in, establish some connection, let them go off, have their adventures, and then I think people can make their own decisions as to it. Here, we're already being told that she's the best thing since sliced bread, and that's tough in a world where everybody seems to be the best thing since sliced bread. Everybody's a genius. Everybody can do it on their own. Nobody needs anybody else. This is just one more. So, but that being said, in terms of him being spot on, from what I've heard from people, I haven't seen the series yet, but everybody seems to be shocked that it's not bad. That's what I keep hearing. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. Is it good though? It's not bad, meaning you thought it was going to be atrocious and a disaster. And because it's actually walking upright on two legs, you're like, it's not bad. It's not bad.
All right. So yeah, it's but I would love to see more. Well, actually, in remembering that when Ironheart first came out, whether the comic book was successful or not, the look and the hair of the character was like it was a vibrant thing you see at the cons. So when I seen this, and it's kind of like like a MMA fighter girl in here, and she's also making herself look extra tough, like she's been through it. This is like, no, let's get to the fun of the character.
Not they love doing that with black women.
This is like, there's so many cosplays of that one with the hair out, and that was the striking thing to be like, wow.
They gave J. Scott Campbell did a cover, and they were after him, saying it was too provocative. And I saw it, and I was like, "What's wrong with this?" She had some midriff throwing. She looked, and J. Scott Campbell draws pretty girls. Okay, he draws pretty girls. He draws sexy girls, and for some reason, and I guess this was like, I don't know how close to this Me Too era it was at the end of the day, but they had that particular thing going on, so they were giving him grief on that. And here, I guess they decided to just strip that out altogether. But like I've said before, they love to do that with black female characters, take all the femininity out, and she's not concerned about this type of stuff. She's not concerned about looking pretty. She's not concerned about being attractive. She's not concerned about being feminine, and then they're just off to the races. I'm surprised they even let her have hair. Usually they love to shave the head and always, have her with her mouth wide open screaming for some nonsense, and that will definitely be the character. So at least we got hair on the head at the end of the day. They love stripping black female characters of anything, anything that would be attractive. So this for me is in the same line where this is for me is in the same vein of where they have done this with other characters. For whatever reason, they really think a strong black woman, and I don't like that phrase at all, but they think that's what a strong black woman is. She is just not a woman, or she has no inclination to do things that women actually do across the board.
Wait, what is your problem with a strong black? Sorry, I had to do it. All right, we're gonna round this out with our last from a month ago of the Superman trailer, and said, did you catch this new Superman trailer? And Ian, of course, thankfully said, because he already liked it beforehand, he said, good video, Cal is happy with a smiley face, but we are ending this with another great fan, Earl Skinner, 615. He asked the question to Cal. Does Cal understands 9 out of 10, what 9 out of 10 means? Do you know when you said that the movies and the trailers are 9 out of 10, do you know what that means?
Yeah, I know what that means. I went to sixth grade like everybody else. Okay. So who's this? Earl Skinner. You can get bent. Earl Skinner.
No, don't say that. That's a close friend of the show.
I know.
Okay, all right. Just want to make
I know
sure.
that's a close friend of the show.
I just want to
That's why
make
I'm saying
sure.
this.
I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to make this. I don't want to be like, what did you say? So long.
He's giving me grief because we were talking about the Daredevil TV show, and I overwhelmingly enjoyed it. I was like 9 out of 10, and he's really critical of the whole thing. So he's like, oh yeah. So then you know how it is. When you like something that somebody else does, it's very easy. So he's like, oh, look at this. This is 9 out of 10, right? And what about this? This is 9 out of 10. Look at his shoes. Is that 9 out of 10? Is this 9 out of 10? So I just keep running 9 out of 10. So I'm like, yeah, Superman trailer, 9 out of 10. He's like, oh, everything's 9 out of 10, right? It's like, yeah, you just don't like it, you big grump. That's all it is.
So he says, I hope he's right with a thumbs up. So that's how we end.
A thumbs up means up your ass. I know exactly what he's talking.
So, but ultimately, we're going to stop here. I just want to say thank all our commenters and all our subscribers. You guys, even once, I mean, there was always good comments. And even though the views haven't been up, the comments have been great. So it's really fun reading, even the tough comments. Some of the critical of whether, some of the videos or whatever. But as you can see, we've gone through a bunch of them without skipping much outside of stuff that was very quick. And they're all very intelligent.
We appreciate the comments. I think at one point we had more comments on the Riri video than we had views. And I thought that was, for us, it's amazing because it definitely shows interaction. And if you guys talk to us, we definitely take the time to talk back. And we don't produce content; we make shows. Okay, we make shows. We're very much in the traditional vein. There's no script. We get together almost everything we do is extemporaneous, unless we're doing some sort of doc. Yeah. You come in, you're getting everything we're saying right off the top of the head. We digress all the time, but it's genuine. Okay, so we're making a show at the end of the day. Content, that's definitely has its place, but when you're coming in here, we're really trying to give you as much genuine commentary as possible.
And as always, and even though I joked about the scorecard for Ian, I'm glad the crew is getting to see, because there was a lot of early on in the pandemic, they were mostly my videos which he was commenting on. Now he's going through and seeing a lot of the other videos, the ones that Cal and Marz have done. So it's really good to see that Ian's catching up. But he likes the group of us. He's asked us to do Superman, the trailer all together. So he likes the group of us, but he's also liking our solo videos, which is great. And Earl, who's a fan, who's actually been on the show, has been some of our past shows. And yes, new subscribers that are commenting, that repeat commenters, and that hopefully we get to know you as well as we know like those two. So anyway, Spinner Rack, thank you.
I just want to share a quick anecdote, and we're out.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been a long road getting from there to here. But okay, when did I know that we were definitely on our way? I remember I shared it with you too. We did a video on Grandmaster Vic Moore, who was saying that he beat Bruce Lee in a fight, that somehow he was able to tag Bruce Lee. And so we did a video on that. So I always go back, look at videos. I'm very interested in hearing, like, what was the audio quality? Is there anything I could have done better? Anything that maybe I could suggest for us to do a show? So I watched the video and it was over. And then I realized it was in rotation. It was in rotation. The next thing, like, anybody who was looking for Vic Moore and talking nonsense about Bruce Lee and Grandmaster Vic Moore, you're talking nonsense about anyway. But I went, oh, we're in rotation. Okay. And then I remember the first time I watched the video, I was like, there's a commercial. There's a commercial. I gotta wait. I was so used to just watching our stuff from start to finish. So seeing all those little things of, strength plus time equals power. So us, just like, building up more and more momentum. And we got some great stuff coming. We got some great stuff coming down the pike for the future. Definitely going to get back into doing interviews again. Have enjoyed it from start to finish. Looking forward to everything coming down the pike. And thanks a lot to everybody, who's commented, liked, subscribed. Please keep doing it. Again, it's been a thrill.
Well,
Looking forward to more of it.
before we end out, since you gave an anecdote, I just want to do, hopefully I won't go too long. I'm not going to say the part where I knew this was working. I think, thankfully to Mars and Cal, we started going to the studio. Obviously, we do a lot more Zooms than anything, but it really upped the quality of the show that we were doing and kind of got and brought out the energy that was already in there, looked great on a good screen. I think ultimately there is a video that was soon after where it wasn't, the talent that was involved in the show was already there in the original group, but there was a time where it was only the three of us that are on the show now. And that's not to say that that was a precursor to us it becoming that, but I just want to say it was interesting because it had a different dynamic because the dynamic we had more was more from the energy of us kind of fighting and battling, and we were kind of toned down in that episode. And I mentioned it, but I think Cal and Mars looked at it as a negative. But I was like, this is a whole different show. It could work. It could still work. And y'all like, no, no, we got to get our energy up. And then I think since then we've been fighting ever since. But I was saying it because I was just like, as the editor of the shows, I would looking at the energy and I'm just like, oh, this is working out. And I was always trying to work on me getting better as a speaker on camera. So it was kind of like, oh, the energy is very different. And it's not the machismo that we normally have in the banter and the fighting back like in the school park. And then they would say, no, what? We toned it down. And Cal and Marz said, we got to go harder now. Like, no, no, we can have a calm show. Marz had something that was very calm that he said while he was doing it. And I was like, that's the energy. We never got that energy back. But it's always been, great working with you guys and for you fans watching in your comments and even the rough ones that help me get better. So those are my last things. Thanks everybody for it's been decade of YouTube. We've been together a little bit longer, but a decade of YouTube, and it really got us up the show where we're supposed to be going. So thank you, everybody.
Again, thanks.
Spin around. This is out.